and good afternoon. Afternoon here. I wanted to share with you some of the things that I'm going to do right now. I am opening up this beehive. This beehive has overwintered successfully and they are still alive and doing well. A week ago I flipped their boxes because the queen was laying up here, and so this box was on the bottom, so I flipped them. And so that way she would lay down here and go upward. But a lot of my beehives are actually laying in both deeps right now, which is awesome. This one is a deep and this one is a honey super, which is called a medium. So I'm using both of those for her. And then I'm removing the winter feed because they don't need it anymore. And I'm taking out all the newspaper and all the moisture absorbing methods that I've been using. But I wanted to see how this honeybee was doing, this colony that I'm working with right now. Right now, as I'm looking up from the top, I'm trying hard not to stand in their way. But as I look from the top, I can see 1, 2, 3, 4, almost 5 out of 10 frames are full of bees. And of course, this is a medium honey super. So with that being said, it's a bit smaller, as you can see, in size versus a deep. It's not as big as a deep. But I wanted to figure out with this how they are doing and how everything is going. So with that, unfortunately, I have to stand to the side of their entrance, or I have to go behind their entrance because right now they're out foraging. Everyone says to do your inspections when the bees are out foraging because there's half of the colony that's usually out foraging, and you don't have to worry about them being so many honeybees at one time. But I've never had that happen with me. The bees are just everywhere when I am inspecting regardless, so that's kind of a thing. So for some reason, I'm not quite sure, this colony was usually really docile and they're showing signs of just being a little bit more aggressive. I don't know if it's something that I'm wearing. I did smoke them ahead of time. Is there something wrong with the queen? I'm not quite sure. They keep butting me, so I'm trying to just do slower movements and not be so jerky with them. So I do have times where I'm a little bit on the clumsy side and I don't end up doing what I need to do, which is being a little bit more gentle with them. So I do try to talk to them, explain to them that I'm not trying to hurt them here. So I don't know if it's something on me or is it on there, I'm not quite sure. But either way, that's whenever it's my indication that I should either A, stop, or B, put on some more protective equipment. Just depends on each colony. Right now this colony is really warm inside. I can feel a lot of warmth coming out, but as I'm pulling out this frame, I'm noticing that there's a ton of pollen on here and a ton of nectar in here, so they're doing really good on their stores. I have set out some of the honey from over the winter that had wintered just to be able to give it back to them so they could eat it and use it real quick. I don't want them laying in the honey supers, so I did remove those frames so that they can eat it independently. So that's kind of what they're doing right now. That's probably the nectar that they're bringing in. I wouldn't say that I don't think the nectar flow is on just yet for honey purposes by any means for spring. So I know right now things are starting to bloom a little bit, but we're just getting started, and it is officially April 18th. So that's where we stand on the date-wise. Usually we are not able to do splits until May. So I'm kind of curious to see if there's any drone brood being raised yet. Here's all your capped brood. So there's all of them, and that looks really, really good. Like I said, she was laying up here already. I'm not going to change that at all. So I want to have her to be able to lay in here as much as she wants and be able to utilize these frames because this is really good for them. But there it is. So there's her laying pattern. Everything's good to go. It looks like down here on the bottom, those right there are drone cells. And then these are your regular cells. So that's good to know that they're having some drones, which means hopefully in the next few weeks, we might be right on schedule for Mother's Day again to do some splits. So this looks really good. This colony has done amazing from overwintering. So there's all of the brood right now, capped and uncapped. And then there's some fresh eggs in there and then some larvae in there too. So everything is working according to plan and they look really, really healthy and good. I performed an oxalic acid vaporization treatment on them yesterday, and they did really well. I didn't see a whole bunch of bees on the bottom board or anything. They seem to be doing really good with it, so that's awesome. I do actually really like my oxalic acid vaporization unit. I think it's amazing that it's able to treat the beehives. Ooh, that scared me. It's able to treat the beehives really quickly, so that's awesome. It takes less than 30 seconds for me to be able to treat my hives, and then I can go on to the next hive, which is great. So that's been a time saver for sure, and I'm really enjoying the unit that I have. So now I'm going to try to pull out this frame of brood. Hi, it's okay. I think what happened, and I forgot, was I accidentally squished a bee earlier, and she got stuck on my hand, and I didn't realize she was there. And so what ended up happening was exactly that. I got stung in the hand, so I think they're smelling that, and they think that that's part of the problem, why they're being super defensive right now. Okay. There's a ton. I'm gonna have to grab this for you. So here's the drones that I was talking about. I actually just pulled the frame apart because they stuck them together and they put drones on the bottom. So look at that. Those are all drone brood right there on the bottom. When you open up your bees and the frames are glued together like that, you're gonna have drone brood in between. And that's just part of how it goes, but this is a good learning experience. Why? Well, to be honest with you, it gives me a chance to go ahead and look at the drones and to be able to see if there's any mites inside of the capped cells. Now that they're fully exposed, you should be able to see mites clear as day. And so they would be crawling all over them, and then you would know that you actually still have a mite problem, which we always have a mite problem, just a matter of how bad is it. So that's why I've been treating. But here's a really good frame right there of the brood and everything, so you can see them there. They're doing really good on that. And then there is the drone larva. So that happens for sure. Okay, so looking at this frame right now, I'm looking at these little baby drones. They're still got a long ways to go, but as I pull them out just to check, I do not see any mites whatsoever, which is good inside of these cells. So they love to create drone in different random places. So sometimes it's usually on the bottom row, sometimes it's in between the frames. It's unfortunate, I just lost a ton of drones, but there's nothing I could do about that because I'm doing my inspections and this is what happens. So I just have to move along with it. I have to put the frame back. They will clean out all the drones that got destroyed and then go on from there. So this frame looks really good. Everything's good as gravy. This is nice. They're still doing everything that's necessary. They have their little honey crown and there's pollen and nectar in there, so everything's good. It's probably honey from the honey frames, but that's still awesome that we need. And then down there, they are already currently pulling out all of the drone that's down there, so they're all going to town, and I'll show you that. So now that I have accidentally, mistakenly pulled this out and didn't know that they are down there, you can see that they're working on all of that. Down there is where all of the drones are. So they're currently cleaning all of this out. You can see the larva right there. And there was only like 1 or 2 bees. Now there's tons of bees on top of them. They are actually going through and cleaning all that out. So that's super important to know. This is what happens. They will go ahead and pull them out of the entrance and that'll be good to go. But you can see here, there's one of the larvae that fell down and they're tending to the larva right now. So they're trying to clean everything up and make it better. Or is that a piece of sugar? It might have been a piece of sugar from the winter. Let's see. Nope, it's a piece of sugar. I was wrong. Looks close though. As you can tell, white as snow. That's what the larvae look like too. Okay, so that's just sugar. But those ones down there are definitely larvae and that's what they're taking care of. So I'm gonna go ahead and put this frame back in. Everything looks good for this inspection. I don't feel like I need to go any further down in the boxes right now. The reason I say that is because there's no drones flying. And without drones flying, is it necessary for me to go ahead and start looking for queen cup cells? I don't believe so, because I know that without any drones flying, they're not going to be able to mate anyways. So I don't presume, in my mind, that they would be creating any queen cup cells right now. So that was my only main concern, is just to see the health of the hive. How is the queen doing? Looks like she's doing an amazing job. So from here, I just need to go ahead and get my frames situated back up. I'll get everybody put back together. And then once everyone's put back together, I can just basically close off the hive, come back in a week and check again. It looks like the drones are being capped over. I don't have a time frame as to how long. They're still budding me right now. I don't have a time frame yet as to how long that they're going to be till they're officially done, because I checked last week and I didn't see any drone brood, and now I see some that are being capped. So I'll have to look at my schedule book and see exactly when are they going to be emerging from their cells and things like that. So that's part of all the schooling that I'm taking and learning. I'm trying to work on my journeyman right now. I'm super excited, so I'm taking a couple of online courses as well. Learning about honeybee health and biology, Varroa, anything and everything that's going to help my bees out for the future. I really want to work on. I really love these bees. I've done amazing with them. They've helped me learn so much, and I just really cannot wait to see where my future goes with these bees. So every day I'm just trying really hard to take care of them and love them, and they're doing amazing. So hopefully everything looks as good as gold, and I will be able to perform some splits eventually, because that's my goal. I really want to create some splits. That would be nice. And I have to say, I read somewhere, heard somewhere, that there's probably not small hive beetles because of how cold it is here, but I'm telling you what, I have had them in the hives. And so right there's a beetle. So they have the typical characteristics. It's a smaller beetle, and they usually have these weird little balls on the end of their on the end of the top of their antenna. So every once in a while I find them in here, I clean them out. So that's one of the bigger things that I've noticed, but they do like to have, I mean, my bees seem to have control over it, so I don't seem to have many problems with it. I cleaned all this mold out last week, so that way it's good to go. And then now basically I just need to keep their ventilation in there. So I have a empty box that sits on top that I use for observation purposes. It's just an empty honey super. This hive looks so good with all the bees that they have in there. It's up to me if I want to go ahead and put on another empty honey super. If I do that, then they can go ahead and fill that up and use it. A lot of people will run what's called I think it's called westerns, and so they run one deep and then 2 medium honey supers full of frames, and then that's their whole entire beehive colony, because these ones will equal that, so that becomes that. So it just depends. For a perfect split, it would be ideal to do that, because then I could just take this box off, create a split, let them still work on these ones, so on and so forth, which I really want to expand my apiary this year, so that's not a bad idea. Otherwise, everything in here looks good to go, and that is one of my first inspections. According to my notes on top of my lid, it looks like they were requeening themselves in July of 2020. So this is definitely last year's queen. And then of course she's doing really well now. So we're just gonna take a look and see how they go in another week. And then I'll be able to perform splits. And so once I perform splits, I'll definitely let you know how that goes. And we'll kind of go from there. Otherwise, they're doing really well so far. So thank you very much. And I hope you have a great day.